Hello, my name is Carlos, and welcome to our Bolivia panel featuring Barry and Jasmine.
Hey guys!
All right, first question. How did you feel about the research you found on Bolivia?
The research on Bolivia was very surprising. It was very interesting to see how poor their education system is and how much they're in poverty. 70% of Bolivia is in poverty.
I found it very surprising that they're such in low poverty and that their teachers they always go on strike and only have school for 4 hours a day. That just shows how much they have to work. It's very sad to see somebody that low in poverty.
And to be in elementary school and have to learn everything you need to know in only a morning or afternoon shift that's only 4 hours, that's a lot. Like, how can you learn everything that you need to learn, like social studies, science, language arts, and math in 4 hours? That's like you pretty much taking maybe 30 to 45 minutes on each subject. That doesn't make any sense.
What was the most surprising piece of information you found?
The most surprising information that I found was that 1 in every 7 children finish elementary school, and that's only elementary school.
For me, it was the fact that teachers are only getting paid $43 to $72 in US dollars. Like, if I was only getting paid $43 to $72, I would not be working there. That's chump change. That's lunch money, basically.
Next, we decided to interview our peers on the research we found on Bolivia.
Okay, so I'm here with Delicia Hicks, and I'm going to ask her a couple of questions about education in Bolivia. Okay, do you think you could get the best effective education if school was only compressed in 4-hour sessions?
Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know.
Like, if you were supposed to learn, like, an 8-hour school day in only 4 hours, you feel like that would be effective to your learning?
Sure, I mean, we're going to college.
Well, in Bolivia, school is divided up in 2 sessions, a morning shift and an afternoon shift, and everything that they need to learn, they have to learn in 4 hours.
Wait, for like the whole... Oh, then no. No, I don't think... Then never mind, no. I don't think that you can learn everything in 4 hours.
Okay. All right, second question. So let's say you were a teacher in Bolivia and you were only getting paid $43 to $72 in US dollars a month. How would you feel about that?
I would be mad because I feel like I should be paid more for $43. Like, that's a month, that's not good.
Well, in Bolivia, that's all they get paid for a month. So most of the time they go on strikes and everything, which in the end, it affects the students because while the teachers are trying to go on strike for better wages, the kids aren't learning what they need to learn already on top of not learning a lot. Now, how do you feel about the fact that teachers are being paid so low?
I feel like they should be paid higher, especially like in the world right now. All teachers are being paid low, and I feel like if you're like the teacher is the only thing. The teacher is the first person to reach a child or a student's office. So I feel like teachers should be paid much more because like I feel like they're the first people to reach like a student, and especially that's what a student learns in school. So I feel like they should be paid more so that they can advance their learning.
All right, Delisa, thank you for your time and thank you for the interview.
Good morning, Jasmine. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Miss Tatum.
Are you ready for this interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get going. All right.
Although Miss Tate Owens did not wish to be recorded during the interview, she did have the following responses to the information Jasmine told her about Bolivian education. First, she personally finds teaching as a rewarding career and wants to teach as many children as she can. However, she does believe the pay in Bolivia can be hindering as even U.S. teachers are not paid well. Also, she was devastated about the statistics of school success for Bolivian students. She said the child must be willing to change their mindset and dare to be different from their surroundings, and it will take more than just one individual to make this happen.
Alrighty, in my last interview, I have Delia Tucker. And I'm going to ask her some questions as well. Okay, first question. Did you know that 1 in every 7 children in Bolivia do not finish elementary school or proceed to the 3rd grade?
No, I do not.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel sad that they don't have the education they need to be successful in life.
If you were learning in a school that taught a different language than you already know, would you rather stay in that school or drop out to help your family who's in poverty?
Drop out to help my family in poverty.
And why?
Because I don't know the language, so I couldn't be successful in that school if I don't understand what they're saying.
Last question. How would you feel if you went to a school that required you to wear uniforms but did not provide things such as transportation or food?
That made no sense because you're spending all this money on how I'm supposed to dress, but not giving me the transportation I need to get to the school. So that just
And how to you does that not make sense?
it doesn't make sense because you're saying that my attire is worth more than transportation to school.
And also in Bolivian schools, they don't have the proper learning materials, desks. Most of their walls and ceilings are caving in. So do you feel like that they don't really care about the education as much as they care about appearance?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Delia, for your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Did you know that 1 in every 7 children in Bolivia do not finish elementary school?
Oh, that's crazy. That's wild.
How does that make you feel?
Damn. Just like that, damn. That's all I can say, honestly. That's like, because, I'm over here, at Johnson & Wills, I'm getting my education, regardless of it being a $40,000 school at the moment. But that's crazy. I know they want to get their education, but that's sad, to be honest. It's not their fault, but it's sad.
So, say for instance you're in a situation where you either stay in school or drop out to help support your family. Which one will you choose?
Honestly, I feel like, that's a good one. But I feel like I will stay in school to better myself, to benefit my family in the long run. If you think of it in a way that you just want to help your family for the now, it's not really going to help you in the long run. So you're going to suffer after you done dropped out of school and y'all all working, like for say, y'all all working in the field. It's not to be stereotypical or anything like that, but y'all all working, struggling to have a better life. So I'm sacrificing myself in the long run to get my education and help them, all of us.
All right. Let me ask you some questions about poverty. How would you feel if you didn't have access to clean water every day?
That would be disappointing. If I have to be like the African kids that have to walk about 2.5 miles just to get clean water, in order to survive, I can't even imagine. Because I'm very fortunate here to have places just like water fountains, and afford to buy bottled water. I'm very fortunate, so I can't even imagine.
All right. How would you feel if there was no roads and the only way to get to school and get your education was to walk every day?
Can I know a distance?
There's no roads, Sharif.
Okay. All right.
That's all you get.
Well, honestly, it's just under the conditions that I'm in every day. Well, I wouldn't have a problem with it necessarily because me personally, I'm a very active person. I like to go places and like to walk. But even as a child, I don't feel like it should be necessary because it's just different. The way our society has been brought up and raised, it's so different to what other countries are accustomed to. So us in the United States, we're not accustomed to walking to school every day. Well, at least the more fortunate kids. Well, I'm not fortunate, but fortunate enough not to be able to walk to school every day, like long distances at least. So it's just a bad picture in my head. I can't even imagine.
Okay. Right. What would life be like to you if you and everyone you knew was in extreme poverty?
I think I'll cry every day if that was the case. Like, just to try to get out of that situation.
Okay.
Try to get better from it. Just gotta learn. Just keep pushing, keep trying to get better. Not only for my sake, but for others as well. Because if I'm in that situation, I want to help others as much as I want to help myself. that's just me personally how I feel about that situation.
All right. If you had no choice but to drop out of school and to help support your family, and the only way you could support your family was through selling narcotics or illegal activities, would you do it?
Yeah. If it's gonna help me, and my family get to where we gotta go, and just help us, not struggle one day, then I gotta do what I gotta do. Honestly, it may be illegal, but if that's the way to do it, then I gotta do it.
Even if you're risking your life and
Yes, sir.
permanent jail time,
Mm-hmm.
would that be a hard choice for you?
Yeah, kind of, but I feel like I'll be up to it, especially because it's benefiting others, not only myself, but I'm putting myself on the line. I'm okay with that.
All right.
I'm okay with that idea.
All right. So,
How does the functionalist perspective tie into Bolivia's poverty and education system?
Children in rural parts of Bolivia only go to school for a short period of time, then they drop out and have to go work. So that just goes to show how like their education isn't as strong as it should be because they have to drop out and go work.
And also too, if you're in the urban part of Bolivia, you're more able to go to the schools where it has more school hours and better education. Actually go to school that feeds you and has public transportation, so you're more likely to succeed and be able to go on and to do other things like maybe travel or have better paying jobs and be able to move up socially. Because if you're in the rural part of Bolivia, you go through a lot of social inequality. And to further define on social inequality, according to our handy dandy sociology book, social inequality is a condition in which members of society have different amounts of wealth, prestige, or power. And due to the consequence of difference that the rural kids in Bolivia have, they're not able to have more education and learn all the things that they need to learn versus the urban kids. So it's a very big gap in that.
action.
How does the conflict perspective tie into Bolivia's poverty and education system?
The teachers have a conflict with the government that causes them to go on strike because they're not getting paid enough, which leads to the children not getting good enough education.
And with the children not being able to get the amount of education that they already aren't getting, it drives them more into going to back home, working in the mines and everything to help their families out. Because if you're only getting 2 out of 4 hours or even less than that of the education that you're supposed to be getting, you're not even going to go to school. You're going to go ahead, help your family out, and start paying bills and things like that. So without any teachers, there's no point in trying to learn simple things like learning how to read and learning how to write when your family's back home struggling.
How does the interactionist perspective tie into Bolivia's poverty and education system?
The two agents of socialization that they get tied into are family and work, so that basically shapes who they become. So they grow like a social
And to further explain social mobility from, once again, our handy dandy textbook, it says social mobility is the movement of individuals or groups from one position in the society's stratification system to another. So what that pretty much means, in Bolivia's case, the rural kids, they aren't able to move up into those better jobs or the better school systems or even to college. While urban kids, they're able to graduate high school, go to a private school, go to college, and get better things such as a better job, maybe move out of the country, maybe, who knows, run the country. So urban kids have more of the upper hand because of the consequences of difference. I mean, look at it this way. Let's say me and Barry are going to school, right? I'm the urban kid, he's the poor kid. He only can finish 3rd grade while I finish high school. I go to college, he's just working. I'm having the better life while he has to get into that vicious cycle of just working his life to death. Who wants to live like that? Come on, guys. Who?
How do you think that interferes with how you guys would interact with each other on a day-to-day basis?
There would be no interaction, really.
someone who, like, in her case, she'll be able to be around more people in school. In my case, I would be just surrounded by my family and the people I work with.
Yeah, I would be more well-rounded because of the simple fact of I've been in the family socialization, school, and work, and then also I could have social media, I could have a phone, I can have, you know, a type of religion, I can have all these different types of agents of socialization, so I'm able to interact with those different
Which
parts
perspective
of
do you believe
socialization.
plays the biggest part in the Bolivian education system or their poverty?
Honestly, I feel like conflict is the biggest perspective that hits up both, because if you look at it education wise, teachers are having the conflict with government because of wages. Like, come on now, you're only getting paid $42 to $72 in US dollars. Now how can you live off of that if you're only getting paid that once a month? That's not livable. That's not livable income. So they're always on strike trying to get that livable income that they might not ever have. And then for poverty, it's the conflict of, am I gonna go to school and get an education and, you know, be up there and be able to move up, or am I gonna go help my family? Especially if you're in a school that speaks a different language than you and teaches a different language than you, that situation automatically is gonna tell you, hey, I'm about to go back home and just start working on my family's farm, because how am I gonna learn something that this teacher is teaching me in Spanish if I'm learning Amarian? How does that make sense? Come on now. What am I gonna do? School that I don't understand? Family. It doesn't compare.
I believe it's the interactionalist perspective, because you could go and interact with working, or you can go and interact with school, and you can gain way more things from school than you can just working. So that will basically shape who you will become and where you can gain better skills from. And
What was the most surprising piece of information you found?
the most surprising information that I found was that 1 in every 7 children finish elementary school, and that's only elementary school.
For me, it was the fact that teachers are only getting paid $43 to $72 in US dollars. Like, if I was only getting paid $43 to $72, I would not be working there. That's chump change. That's lunch money, basically.
Well, this concludes our panel on Bolivia. I would like to thank Barry and Jasmine for answering our questions. I also like to thank Grayson, our wonderful camera lady.
And we out.
This panel has been brought to you by Sociology textbook. For the low cost of your soul and $500 in multiple student loans, this textbook can be yours too. You can rent it, buy it, steal it, whatever you want, you can use it for.